Hello, hello. How is everybody? We're doing a live today. I'm hoping. There he is. Great. Perfect. Hey, how are you?
What's going on, man? You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Dang, I always forget if I'm supposed to give you permission to turn on your camera.
I guess so. Hold up. There we go. What's
There
going
we go.
on, my man?
Oh my God. I gotta tell you, this is the smoothest connection of a live I've ever had. So thank
And
you.
what's funny, this is my first time doing it. So, beginner's luck, as they say, right?
Perfect, man. We nailed it. How are you
I'm
today?
doing good, Shay. How you been, brother?
Man, it's been a just a hectic day, but that's how it's been since J20.
Bro, I've been enjoying the videos you've been putting out consistently, all the time, commenting on everything that needs to be commented on. I appreciate it. I love it. That's why I'm on here.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. I've been trying my methodology recently has been to slow it down a little bit.
Yeah.
I know that there's a lot of news going around, a lot of
Too much.
stuff changing quick,
Too
but I
much.
try to keep it to 3 to 4 videos a day because I do like about an hour and a half of research
Right.
per video so I can give a little bit more context and everything. But yeah.
No, brother, I can tell. Listen, I don't have the time to do the research because I'm as an immigration attorney out here in Elgin, Illinois. I'm busy. I'm busy, right? I'm busy these days. But I appreciate you going out there and spreading the news. I do what I can with my social media team, which is great. But
Yeah.
like I said, man, I really appreciate the coverage that you do, not just on immigration topics across the board, on what needs to be said on these fuck faces, right? So I'll give you that, bro. I'll give you
Listen,
props.
let's give you a little intro up. I know people
I-
know me and what I'm here, but this is
yeah,
he's a great attorney, immigration attorney out of Elgin. You're in
yeah.
Elgin?
So
Elgin?
Elgin, for those who don't know, it's a community about an hour away from Chicago. And I'll be
Yes.
honest, when I first moved out there about 10 years ago, I was like, I'm in Whitelandia. But let me tell you something, brother. Latinos are everywhere.
Oh,
And
we're
as an
everywhere,
immigration
bro.
attorney, I learned that quickly. It took me a
Yeah.
second, but I learned it quickly. So we're an hour, literally. I'm an hour away from Chicago driving, 45 minutes the way I drive. But the point is, we out there. And
Yeah.
Latinos are out there in full force también, papa. We're out
Yeah.
there, not just Mexicanos, Boricua, Dominicanos, Venezolanos everywhere.
Yes.
So Elgin is a community outside Chicago. I've been practicing immigration law since 2017. My
Okay.
office is located here. Give me a call if you want for a free consultation anytime you want. 847 Follow my pages, follow my social media. We're here to help out the comunidad in any way, shape, or form. I happen to be Mexican, right? So
Yeah.
I grew up in a family of, as I like to say, woke before woke was even a thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I grew up, right? So
Yeah.
in either case, as I like to tell people, I didn't really grow up culturally Latino. I had to kind of grab that with my love of Latinas and so forth. But I grew up politically Latino as F, right?
Yes.
So I learned from early on the struggles that Latinos have to face because of who we are, and obviously the empire that we live in. Let's just face it, we live in an empire. As
Yeah.
an
No.
educated person, you know these things and understand these things. I
Yeah.
don't have to explain it to you, right? So I was taught at an early age, me and my sisters really, that there's a lot more to the world than what they're teaching you in the books, right? And
Yes.
specifically how Latinos are left out of history, right? So
Yes.
that kind of fueled me to become an immigration attorney. I've been doing it for about 13, 14 years now. And I survived the first Trump administration, and I'm ready to help out mi gente in this second round too, because this fucker's coming for us. He's
I
coming.
mean,
He's coming for us.
you would think he's already been in office years. It's been 2.5 weeks,
Bro,
bro.
when you're in a toxic relationship, weeks, you know how that goes. You're in a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
It's like the husband with the toxic wife. He's sitting in the car. He doesn't want to go in. That's what we're in, bro. We don't want to go in. You don't
I
want to
don't
see
want to go in.
You don't want to go inside the house. You don't want to face this fuck face again. Anyway,
People are asking you to give their your number again for the free
yes, brother.
consultation.
Again, free consultations, 847-423-5116.
Yes.
Obviously, I practice immigration law. It's federal law. So whether you be in New York, California, Hawaii, it doesn't matter. I can provide my legal services. I can give you a free consultation. We can figure out what we can do for you.
Yeah. I love how people like when the people are like, "Hey, I bet you the wife isn't happy either." I'm like, yeah, it's toxic both ways, and that's usually how it's going.
It's just an example. You know the
Yeah,
point.
no, I get you. I get
Dealing
you.
with Trump is a toxic relationship. I
It's
think.
toxic. It's toxic.
I don't think I need to explain that.
You know what's funny? during the first Trump administration, I was sort of coming to my own awakening, like with my parents and my Latinidad and everything. And I was like, Trump, like, and Hillary were like my parents. Like, Trump is the toxic dad who is a narcissist who doesn't say sorry for anything.
Yeah.
And Hillary was the boring mom that I knew it was a better choice. And I was like, let's go with the boring mom. Like, let's not go with the toxic narcissistic dad. But of course, America chose to go with the dad that lets you eat cereal because that's all you can afford.
Of course, that's what America is nowadays, right? You know, especially the younger generation. Of course, they're gonna go for Trump, lazy ass Trump. You know, silver spoon up his ass Trump. You know, of course. You know, that's just unfortunately. I mean, that's the generation. We don't read anymore. No one reads anymore. It's all, you know. Unfortunately, scroll, 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 scroll. He's the scroll president. He has no substance. You know, he's literally the orange shit stain on American history. Like, literally, you and I are gonna talk to our kids and be like, can you believe that we lived through an oligarch who tried to take America's democracy away? Like, literally, just tried to take America's democracy away.
You know what's crazy? My family's from the Dominican Republic, and they actually grew up during, Trujillo's dictatorship. And it's weird because, like, my family has this very, like, they're concerned, but they're like, tú sabes, papi, va a pasar lo que va a pasar, because they had no choice of what was happening. And it's sort of like, it's sort of the survival mechanism, the survival thing where they're just like, look, of course we're going to try and do our best, but we're going to have to roll with the punches here to see how it goes. And it's such like, my family has lived through something like this, which makes me sad. But now I'm like talking to my mom, I'm like, give me all the advice you have. Give me all of it.
I think you bring out a really good point. I deal with obviously clients from all over Latin America, right? Who've actually gone through what you just pointed out, regimes, actual regimes, right? So as you say, they're kind of used to it. So in a weird way, Latinos who've like lived through this, or their parents have lived through this, look at Trump and like, he's kind of an old hat, you know? He may be the orange version of it, right? But it's old hat. It's old hat. It's all the same bullshit. It's just in a new racist bottle. That's all. Essentially,
they've lived through that.
A dictator's a dictator, right?
Yeah.
It's just, what they're trying to do, they're trying to take away your rights. They're trying to take democracy. They need a scapegoat. It's all the same, right? Whether it's super communist or capitalist pig, like this guy, whatever.
Yeah, but I wanted to bring you on here to sort of see if maybe, through your expertise can kind of give us a little bit of clarity on everything that's going on. I mean, I know you're also trying to keep up with everything, but I was trying to get from you sort of an idea of what are still some of immigrants' rights, because we're seeing a lot of these, knocking on doors and coming after people, but we are also like I recently saw that Tom Homan, the border czar, actually said that people knowing their rights has made it sort of difficult for ICE to do everything they want.
No, it's an interesting story. Here's what happens. They underestimate brown people from the beginning, right? So I don't know if you remember on day one, right? Fuckface was talking about, day one, I'm going to deport all these people. Didn't happen. Why? Because they set out these certain cities that would go. And guess what happened? La gente, right? Spread the news, spread the word, and no one came out and they had to cancel it. Now, eventually they were able to go out and get some people, and they had in Chicago. Actually, in Elgin, I don't know if you heard about this. They broke down someone's door in Elgin, went into a family. They were looking for some guy, and they broke down the door of this family's house, got in there, and got the parents who were hiding, right? So there's violations going on. So what people need to understand is this. Even if you are undocumented, you still have rights. You still have fundamental rights that they have not taken away as of yet, right? The Supreme Court has to be the one to take that away. And so far, right, they're holding the line as of yet. For instance, if you get stopped by ICE officers, you do not have to say a word. Much like if a cop stops you, right? You don't have to say a word. Miranda rights, all up is universal, right? So if you get stopped and you don't feel like saying anything, you don't have to. They cannot search you without your consent, right? They cannot search you without your consent. They cannot make you sign anything without without your consent, without you know what's going on. They have to have a translator with you if they're going to make you do certain things. Now, in reality, violations happen all the time.
Yes.
In reality, people are scared, they're nervous, they don't know, they don't make it trouble. So as I tell people, at the end of the day, if you have paperwork, if you have a case pending with you, right, you should take a picture on your phone of whatever receipt you have, and you can demonstrate to this ICE officer, hey, ICE officer, I have a case pending with my wife. I have an asylum pending, I have a VAWA case pending, I have a U visa pending, whatever case you have going on, right? You can show that officer, and that officer is going to be less likely to detain you. Why? Because if they detain you and process you, they're going to have to release you. Because at the end of the day, the judge is going to have to say, this is a BS case. There's no reason for me to have it. They still have to be efficient about things, right? Now, that being said, they are arresting people who are not criminal. But guess what? Here's what they're not reporting on. They have to release them. Why? Mandatory detention. Now, the Riley Act is going to try to change that and move the goalpost on that. But
Right.
in general, mandatory detention means that you're a bad dude. You're a bad hombre that cannot be on the street. Not some kid who got one DUI, right? That's not the way it works, right? So at the end of the day, they're going to have these massive raids and these massive deportations, but people still have fundamental rights. If you do not have a prior deportation and you don't have any serious crimes, you have a right to see a judge. They can't just deport you like that. They talk all this game, right? Of course, the right wing, they're making all these crude jokes about it. But at the end of the day, you have fundamental rights still. You may try to adjust them with EOs, as we know, but I have faith that even the Supreme Court, even though it's a right-leaning, and we know what Trump did to that Supreme Court, they're going to, the Roberts Court, right? He's going to have to hold the line on certain things. And I have faith, call me a dreamer, that he's going to hold the line on these certain things that, obviously Trump is going to expand the presidency as much as he can, right? As much as he can, he's trying to grab as much as he can. And I think the Roberts Court will put limits. So to try to focus it back into, what rights do people have? Again, you have those fundamental rights that all Americans have, right? The right to silence, the right to refuse to let them in your house if they do not have a warrant, right, from a judge, from an immigration judge, right? They have to have a warrant, and they do exist, and they do get them, but most of the time they don't have them. You do not need to open the door if they don't have that documentation with them, right? Again, if you don't have a deportation prior, you do not need to sign anything for your deportation, self-deportation. They can say, oh, just get on the plane, it'll be easier, no problems, you won't be detained. F that. This is your life here. Many of you have children, American U.S.-born children, right? So you got to fight for yourself, you got to fight for your family, you got to fight for your future. Don't let these fascists push us around.
And people are asking sort of what are some of your, if somebody does violate your rights, what are some of the actions that you could take? Could you sue? Could you?
Very good point. Yes. Yeah. At the moment, not much you can do, right? They're the power, right? They're gonna. At the moment, I wouldn't suggest fighting back, right? At this point, or actually being physical with them, whatever. I would state, hey, I know you're violating my rights. Put them on notice, but you leave it at that. They probably will ignore you. But yes, to your point, you can sue. Any violation of your civil rights, even if you're undocumented, right? Even if you're undocumented, you can sue. And so I don't necessarily do that. That's a civil rights attorney. But I would encourage you, if you feel like your rights were violated in an immigration context, contact an immigration attorney and contact a civil rights attorney, right? And I think with that combo, you can figure out, hey, were my rights violated and can I sue? I've heard citizens are being detained by these fascists. Citizens are being detained by these fascists. Do you know how much of a bag you can get as a citizen suing the government? I promise you. Get on it. Again, if you need some suggestions out here.
Hey, listen, if something like, I would hope nothing like that happens to anybody, as citizens or anybody, but listen, if you can sue them and get some of your money, get your money.
Get your money, bro. Get your money.
So
sue this government for sure.
So Julio is located in Elgin, Illinois, and he's offering consultations for free for people who are live.
You got to schedule it, but yes.
Yeah, give him the number one more time because we got people just joining the chat.
Of course, 847-423-5116. Yeah. Follow my TikTok, my social. I'm on Instagram. I guess the grandparents are on Facebook. I'm on Facebook too, right? You got to represent all age groups, right? But come follow my page. I put out content. Not as much as Chet does, but content as much as I can to educate and inform and have a good time with it too. Because we gotta laugh. If you're not laughing, you're crying, and we know this.
Somebody's asking, so let's just go through some questions. Since that way we do that. Can you sue someone for calling ICE on you, even though you are a citizen? Defamation of character?
Yeah, that's not really my bag, but yes, you can. And now, defamation of character is kind of a state-to-state thing, so I don't want to give you bad advice. But yes, you can, and I would consult with an attorney who knows that.
Okay. Now, yeah, if anybody has any questions, shoot them over. I want to, just get a few in there. Yeah, because I mean, people just like, they're using the pretext for criminality and things like that. Oh, thank you for that. As a way to do what's called, collateral arrests.
Right.
And that way that's when they knock and they try to like, we already kind of went through that. But shoot, I kind of forgot where my question was going with this. But I just kind of wanted to, I don't know, get your feeling on sort of how the courts are holding up and everything. And
Oh, the
do you
courts don't
see?
run, my friend. I
Yeah,
mean, even before Trumpito came into power, I can tell
that's
you.
that was what I was gonna ask you. Like how is applying now? Like a lot more people are trying to apply, and how is it looking?
I practice. So Elgin is an hour away from Chicago. So all my clients go to Chicago. It's not like every state has an immigration court. So it's only like where the busiest areas of America are. So the whole of Illinois essentially has to go to Chicago, except
Oh
for
wow,
yeah. So I have clients 4 hours away who have to drive to Chicago. Again, Elgin, I'm an hour away. Trust me, it sucks when I have to I have like a week full of courts and I have to drive there all the time, no? But every time I go to court, there is a long ass line to file. I mean, and I don't go to court every day,
yeah,
but every single day because I'm friends with the guards. They tell me it's line of people for hours waiting to file. It ramped up as soon as he won, it shot up.
yeah,
My point is, people are scared, obviously. People are freaking out, obviously. So in the immigrant community, they've heard a lot of rumors, and so they're trying to file their application. In fact, the rumor was file your application before he goes into power because you're going to make a bunch of changes, blah, blah, blah. Either way, people are scared, and so the courts are already backlogged. Courts are so backlogged, some cases take up to 7, 8 years.
yeah. That was on good times.
Judges are so burned out. I feel for these judges. I like most of the judges, only some of them I know. Most of the judges are good, hardworking. They're trying to do the best they can, right? They're trying to, mix the law and the compassion that they have to do. But they're just burned out, bro. They're burned out. There's so many cases that they have, so many, so many people that, and the process is one where if they don't have an attorney, they have to come back a few, 6 months later. So, it is an inefficient system. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
It's an inefficient system that kind of hurts everyone. But at the same time, it helps my clients a lot of times. It helps my clients a lot of times. A lot of times they have weak cases in which if they can stay here for 3 years, 4 years, that benefits them.
It'll help them to save up and do what they have to
get a work
do.
permit. They can, figure something out. As I always say, find the el güerito feito to marry. So it cuts both ways, right? Sometimes the inefficiency hurts my clients. Sometimes, frankly, it helps my clients. But it's very backlogged. However you want to see it, it's very backlogged. I feel for these judges. They have a stack of cases. People who, and at the same time, I feel for people who are not, who just don't have the information. A lot of people miss their court date, right? Because they just don't know. You're automatically deported.
What I mean, yeah, we there was a news story in Texas of the unfortunate mother who had complications with her pregnancy. The family called like the immigration court. They told them, yeah, it's all good. Then they got a call, I think it was from ICE, to show up, and they didn't know that was their deportation. Like they deported a mother and the baby.
I believe it. I believe it. That's how ICE rolls. I won't say all of ICE, but obviously with this new regime that came in, they're going to be, weeding out the people with hearts and just putting, the fascists in. But yes, so essentially, if you don't go to court,
Yeah.
you will be deported automatically. It's called an in absentia deportation order. My job as an attorney is to say, okay, my client was not informed of this. Please, court, reopen the case, take away the deportation so we can do something. They'll give you one chance to do this, one chance only. So, again, if you have a prior deportation, honestly, you should be worried. I tell my clients, the majority of my clients are actually good. I tell them, hold your head up high. You're good. You got a case pending. Fuck them, right?
Yeah.
But if you got a prior deportation, right, you should be seeing an immigration attorney right now, right? Okay. Because if you can get your case reopened and that deportation taken away, you're going to be in a lot better place. You know why I said that, they can't just deport you right away? If you have a prior deportation, and some people don't know, that's why you got to go to a professional. Don't go to a paralegal. Don't go to the lady who does your taxes. Go to a professional. Even
Don't
if
go
it's
to a tia that knows everything. Like,
exactly. There's always that one tia who knows everything. I just Googled it, mijo. I just Googled it. Yeah,
busque.
all right, kid. Thank you, Titi. Thank you. Why don't you just make the pinche arroz and call it a day? The point is, go to a professional and get the professional answer you need. Right. Because if you, for instance, there are people who across the border don't know that they've been deported at the border. So you live your whole life thinking, oh, I'm good, I'm all good, or I had a run-in with immigration. They just processed me, no big deal. Turns out you were deported at the border. Turns out 20 years later you get picked up by ICE. You don't get to see a judge because you were deported.
Oh wow.
20 years prior. So that's why I tell people, if you have any contact with immigration, find out.
Yeah.
Find out.
Let's just answer some more questions here because I don't want to take up too much of your time. I also got stuff. But people want to know, because this is another news story that was going around in Texas. The Alice Independent School District told the students to carry around identification just in case ICE stops the bus while they're coming home from band or games. First of all, what's the constitutionality or the legality of stopping children and saying, show me your papers? And should children start carrying identification?
Well, it's very interesting you say that. The constitutionality, you probably should talk to someone who is a little bit more abreast of that. But I can tell you, immigration should not be stopping children. Why? Technically, they're not here illegally. You don't start accumulating illegal presence. It's a real thing.
That's right.
18.
Yes.
Until you turn 18. So children I should never be stopping children under 18. Period. Yes. That's definitely a class action suit right there. Now, they're going to do it. Here's what it is. We live in a culture. What are they trying to do? They're trying to intimidate. That's all it is. They're trying to intimidate. So you get the rumors, you get everyone riled up. But yes, any ICE officer stopping children is going to have a lawsuit on their hands. Again, if they're stopping them to ask them questions here and there, maybe not that big a deal. But if they're trying to detain them, to detain them and to put them in proceedings, that's going to be a problem. Because again, your illegal presence in this country does not start until 18. So I can tell you this, even though I'm here in Chicago area now, I grew up in Texas. I grew up in San Antonio, Texas. I know those racist yokels, right? even though surrounded by Latinos, right? Even though surrounded by Latinos, you got some racist ass yokels. And I'll be honest with you, you got a lot of self-hating Latinos también over there. You got a lot of, oh, I'm Tejano, I'm not Mexican, right? Cara de nopal, talking shit, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a mentality down there as well. They have a certain Southern racism. They do have a certain, this is, the whites down there do have a sort of territorial thing. They know they're surrounded by brown people, right? That's why they have tortilla strip divisions for the congressional districts, right? To water down the Latino power, right? That's what Texas has been doing for years. Other states do it too. But my point is, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that Texas is allowing. Now, I come from Illinois, which Homan is trying to sue. To be honest, that's the latest thing. He's actually trying to sue. I just saw a report on it that he's trying to sue Chicago officials and Illinois for being a sanctuary city. So
that's right.
I'm proud that my tax dollars come to go to a good cause, right? Finally, right? And so in the state of Illinois, that shit ain't gonna fly. But I'm not surprised in Texas, right? Conservative ass, racist ass Texas, right? That they're able to do. And what they're doing is they're basically allowing ICE to run them up like a bunch of cows. Like the Texas
Department of Public Safety and all that.
Like the Texas Rangers that used to terrorize people. That's the real story of the Texas Rangers. They don't teach you that, right? The point is they're allowing, each state will allow ICE to do what they want, right? Each state has their rules and regulations. Alabama is going to be different from California, right? So, yes, I'm not surprised. It saddens me that this happens. But I can promise you this as well, even though they live in a racist-ass state like Texas, those family of those children, if those children were actually detained, again, difference if they were just questioned and detained. Right. But if they were actually detained, that's definitely a lawsuit on their hands, right? Because these ICE officials, again, should not be bothering children. Not only because it's just, a heartless thing to do, but it's not the procedure, it's not in the regs. Now, these things may change. We know what's going on. They're allowing ICE officials in schools and churches and hospitals now, right? We know this. We know who they are. So I'm telling you this now, it may change. And I know that you've been talking about, our response, right? The resistant response. If they start chipping away more and more, we do need to be responding in some way, shape, or form, right?
Yeah.
We be in the streets, me behind in my office, spreading the word, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, whatever you need to do, but you need to be part of this in some way, shape, or form if they keep doing this.
Unfortunately, there's no more sitting it out. There's no more middle ground. Even people who have never been political in my life are not going like, "Hey, that thing that you talked about that I never want to listen to? Can you tell me more?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, I'm
Oh,
not mad to repeat myself. Like, I
yeah.
love talking.
Yeah.
And I
It's your
will I
party.
will reiterate what I have to. Somebody had a question. If the motion was denied due to attorney error, can we refile?
Good question. It kind of depends on what the motion is, but yes, if your attorney messes up, there is a general theory in the law, in immigration law, that says, if for ineffective counsel is the phrase, ineffective counsel. So I have opened up a case before. I have dealt with cases before where the prior counsel, he was an attorney, he or she was an attorney, they totally effed up the case, and so because of this, again, I have to prove that the prior attorney actually messed up, and it's not just a question of the law, right? That they actually did something that messed up. But yes, you can totally do it. If you have any questions on it, call my office. We might be able to figure out something.
Great. Let's give them the number one more time.
Yeah, of course. 847-423-5116.
And Julio's also on here on TikTok, on
I'm on
Instagram,
TikTok.
on
Find me all
Facebook.
over.
Yeah.
We're all over.
Yeah. Let's do a few more questions before we get out of here for the evening. How concerned about states passing legislation that suspend due process are you?
I mean, I live in a state that it doesn't affect my clients that much, but yes, I do believe that's a real thing. I think every state, again, Alabama, the Arkansas of the world,
The
Texas,
Mississippi's with the bounty hunters,
Florida.
the bounty hunters. Bounty hunters are not subject to the same kind of laws as police officers. So they can literally break down your door. They can.
Yeah, no,
How does a bounty? Do you know a little bit about bounty hunting? Like,
I don't know a lot about it, but I can be, but you are correct. They don't have the same rules as police and law enforcement, right? They don't have to abide by all these rules that law enforcement has to nowadays. So it's a scary thing. They know what they're doing, right? They know what they're doing when they say bounty hunters, right? They know what they're trying to do. They're trying to spread the hate. They're basically trying to set up mobs, right? There's legal mobs to go after brown people, right?
yeah.
Most people don't understand it. More Mexicans were lynched in 1848 than blacks, right? So this is nothing new, right? This is nothing new that's going on. They've been lynching us, all people of all shades and colors, for a while now, right? And that's what this is. This is basically just it's the modern version of the lynch mob to go after people who are brown, right? Skin.
Wow.
I would hope that in these individual states that you have enough people who can fight back on the legal side and say, this is some bullshit, right? This is illegal. This is totally illegal. And I would hope that legally the courts can step in and help out in that way. But it's messed up, my friend. I mean, I'm kind of shielded it because I live in Illinois, right? I'm kind of shielded from it. And I know you're out in Jersey, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Pennsylvania area. Yeah.
That's right. Okay. Oh, that's right. So, I mean, I hear West Pennsylvania is like Alabama.
Oh, we call it Pennsatucky.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, we call it Pennsatucky.
That's what I've heard. But overall, the state is a little bit obviously more left leaning, so you have kind of those protections. But yeah, man, like I have buddies in Texas, I have family in Texas. It's scary. It's scary. So that's where America is a patchwork of different places and different ideologies and so forth, and it really does depend on where you live in terms of the immigration context, how you're going to be treated, right, and what protections you may have. So. I know a lot of people. From my understanding, there's a lot of people leaving Florida for that reason, right?
Yeah,
Latinos, right? Because they're like, "F this! It's just too dangerous for me to be here," which is crazy.
and anecdotally,
and it was founded by Latinos. The damn Irish.
Anecdotally, like my mom has been telling me that there's people self-deporting to the Dominican Republic. That she has a friend who works at the airport and says, yeah, there's people who are returning because they don't, because a lot of people's biggest fear, which is understandable, is actually, one of my biggest fears, is the more the detention than deportation. You know what I mean? Because look, they're sending people now to Guantanamo Bay. Like, what are your rights in Guantanamo Bay.
Well, they're going to limit them. They're going to try and limit them totally. They're going to try to chip away at them as well. So who knows what's going to happen? I will say, if they do actually do this and send people to Guantanamo Bay, I would hope there's going to be enough, of the world's attention on it, right? So that they can't pull some torture stuff on it. It's going to be, what it is? He's a big baby that just likes to play with his toys. Guantanamo Bay is just another toy that he can say. It's another piece of red meat that he can throw out to
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's just simple, really. That's all it is. They're going to need more private prisons. All this is a big handout to private prisons, by the way. We don't have the space for the millions of people he's trying to deport. We know this.
Right.
They know this. It's a big handout to their cronies.
Oh, yeah, because they stopped using private
prisons.
prisons as much, and and they stopped. They're trying to arrest less people, and by that I mean black people. They're changing the laws, and some of them. So a lot of private prisons shifted to be detention centers, like the GEO group and stuff like that. After less people started being incarcerated in that sense, because it became more popular in U.S. law to incarcerate immigrants, than citizens.
Of course.
Wow. They just shifted their priorities.
Yeah, because less people care about immigrants, right? These immigrants know less about their rights, right? They're not going to make as much of a stink about stuff like American citizens will, right? It's a racket. It's money. It's capitalist pig shit at its finest, or its worst, however you want to say it, right? That's what it is. So these even the Democratic senators who voted on this new Riley Act, right? Look at who's funding their campaign. I promise you, private prisons.
Private prisons.
I promise you that.
No, for sure. And that's I see. It took me a while. I just kind of put it together because I knew they were trying to use less of the private prisons when it came to incarcerating. Again, I go back to mostly black people, but also citizens and stuff like that. And moving away from that was moving towards like core civic. Somebody wrote towards incarcerating of immigrants, mostly Latinos. Somebody wanted me to ask. We're gonna stay on for 10 more minutes, so get your questions in. Somebody wanted to know. My mom got her 601A. It's approved.
Right.
What's next? Do you think it's risky to do consular process?
It's a good question. So what she's talking about, for those who don't know, the I-601 is the most popular case in my office is called the waiver. Very briefly, the waiver is the case in which you entered illegally and you're married to either a resident or a citizen, right? And you don't have any serious crimes.
Right.
So most people don't realize you can be married to a U.S. citizen and the case still takes up to 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So a lot of people don't realize that. I'm married to a U.S. citizen. It should be quick. No. So in either case, her mom got the I-601A approved. Congrats. That's the second step. And the final step is she has to set up an appointment. I'm going to assume, or I don't want to make that assumption. She has to go back to wherever country she's from. My clients are Mexican, so it's Juarez, right? You go to Juarez. Most of my clients go to Juarez to finish the case. They have to go down there for 3 things. They have a fingerprint appointment, they have a medical appointment, and they have a consular appointment, right? They have to finish those 3 appointments. You pass all these things, you come back as a resident of the United States. So her question is it risky? Why? Because Trumpito's in power, right? And he's a fucking idiot, and he's crazy, right? I can't promise. I don't think that he's going to touch this part of immigration per se, right? The amount of lawsuits and the amount of bad press he would get for this, right? The idea that someone who paid the fees for the case, who did all the paperwork correctly, who complied with the fingerprints, overall did everything well, is still denied. Even that's going to leave a bad taste in people's mouths. So I've not heard, and of course I'm always keeping track of what he's trying to change. That fucker is always trying to change something in immigration. But I have not heard that he's attacking or limiting or changing this process of the immigration of the I-601A waiver, which is good because most of my clients have this, including my Mexican clients, if you will, right? Most of my Mexican clients, let's be true, let's be honest, have entered illegally. So this is the only case they can do a lot of times.
Yeah.
And so, again, my office has a lot of experience in it. I have 13 years experience doing this sort of case. As I always tell people, my office can pretty much guarantee you'll get approved for the waiver. I just can't guarantee you the time. The time is out of my hands totally. And again, who knows what he's going to do.
Yeah, that was actually because I don't know that part of the process because I came with a visa, so mine was a different situation.
Totally different
But
process.
when people have to go back to Juarez, do they have to remain there for a long time, right? Like until.
It used to be that way. So actually, Obama, little history, he changed it. So back in the day, you had to wait down there in your country for the waiver to be approved, which could take up to a year or more. People
Wow.
complained. He made the change, but so you're able to do the waiver here in the United States and only have to leave to finish the process. But of course, what happened? They didn't hire more people, and more people applied. So a wait that used to be a year now is 5 years in total, right? So yes, but nowadays, when you do the waiver, you do the waiver here in the United States, right? So if you get denied for the waiver, you're here, no biggie, right? I mean, again, that's not too common because when we send out waivers, to get them approved. The point is though, once you get the waiver approved, you still have to set up that appointment down there to do like the final check, right? You know, the final boss, if you will, right? You got to get to that final.
Like Trump.
It's a consular officer, and again, I will practice with you to make sure you say what you need to say and not say what you cannot say, right? Obviously, it helps if you speak English, right? But the point is, at the end of the day, me and my office, my team, not just me and my team, we prepare our clients for that appointment because we understand that if something goes wrong in that appointment, they could be stuck down there.
Wow. Yeah.
They can be stuck down there. When I do a consultation, I say, listen, there's no point in lying to me, hiding anything from me, right? Because if you have a case of a waiver and you go down there and the officer sees that you have what's called the 10-year permanent bar and you're not eligible, welcome to Mexico for 10 years.
Wow.
What they're going to tell you.
Yeah.
So,
Tell me now. Tell me now.
tell me now. So again, consult an immigration attorney. Don't, F around and find out later.
Yeah. 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 Let's do two more questions here, and then we'll call. This is from Lala. Love that. Always love that name. What if a Dominican was here on a work visa but overstayed their visa and is now getting married? That.
So that's a much better case than the waiver. Assuming that the Dominicano marries a U.S. citizen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's why. Because if they marry a U.S. citizen, they overstay, they entered legally, right? They overstayed, no bueno, but it can be forgiven, right? Because you entered legally. These gringos always value that more than anything else, right? They get all in the hissy fit that Mexicans are smarter than them and get always across, right? That's what MAGA stands for. Mexicans always get across. But either way, so when you enter legally, they put you on a higher pedestal, and so because the Dominicano and most Dominicanos enter legally, right?
Yeah.
Because he entered legally, and if he's married to a U.S. citizen, he can do a case that's called adjustment of status. Adjustment of status, at least in my jurisdiction in Illinois, it's about a year and a half case. I can get you a work permit. I can get you a travel permiso. It's inside here. The officers are usually a lot more chill than consular officers. So sometimes it's even quicker. Sometimes it's 9 months. Sometimes it's 6 months. So it's a really great case. Again, if you're eligible, you have to have entered legally and have a U.S. citizen spouse for that kind of work. So hopefully he's married a U.S. citizen spouse. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Man, this has been great. People are actually asking, can you repost this on your feed so people can see all this information? Guys, I'm going to take this live.
This won't be the last time either, my man. This won't be the last time.
No. We're going to try to do this more frequently so we can give you information and, things are going to be happening every week with the Trump administration.
Unfortunately.
So, yeah, Julio and I are going to try and make this a regular occurrence so we can keep talking to you guys and putting these videos up and giving everybody the right information. The person who asked about the 601A, they say thank you. They're going to make the appointment tomorrow.
Of course.
And I guess Julio, let's end it here. Thank you so much for your time. We're gonna talk and see if we can do it again next week.
Cool, man. We'll work it out. You're busy, I'm busy, but I know that the people need to hear this, right? And that's what I'm down for. And I'm really glad that you have this great platform, right, and this great audience. So I thank you for the invitation.
And thank you for sharing your time and your expertise. One more time, he is in Elgin, Illinois. Please give him your phone number and all your social media handles so people can find you.
847-423-5116 is the phone number. Call me up for a free consultation. Julio A. Noboa Law. Google me. You'll be able to find me. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook as well. So come find me. I'm here to help you guys out. And again, we can do this. We're going to beat this together.
Thank you. Hey, everybody, please stay safe. Know your rights. Get those little red cards. Julio, Keep fighting the good fight, man. We need people
Me and
like
you,
you out
brother.
there.
Me and you. We're part of that resistance, Papa.
We
I'll
got
see
it,
you
man.
soon.
We're
Have a
gonna be a
good.
knockout
We
to them.
got
You
you,
guys
pal. We
have a
got
good
you.
night.
You
Take it
too, brother.
easy.
Thank you again. Have a
Bye.
good night, brother.
Bye.